Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video, I want to show you how to define key bindings in Emacs that will override the key bindings of every major mode, so they will always take precedence. And I will explain what the problem is, why you would need to do something like this. What I have here in my Emacs is a new directory that I have created, and inside of it there is an init.el file which has this contents over here. Nothing special, just the basics to show you. And the important part here is this key binding, which is a quite common key binding that people set, thinking that it will work everywhere because it is bound to the global map. But we will see that this is not going to work everywhere. So what I want to do is start Emacs with that init file as its init file. So I want to create a new instance of Emacs which loads just this configuration, not my configuration. So I will do that, and here we have this new Emacs, and over here we see that there are already two windows. If I do meta-o, which is the key binding I defined for other window, we see that meta-o works. I can see here that the keycast keeps adding to it. It has called it 19 times, 20, 21, and so on, right? So this works perfectly, or so it seems. Now let me go and create a new file. I will call this test.html. I am using HTML because it is one of possibly many major modes that will have a conflicting key binding for meta-o. Let's do this. So I have test HTML here, and I will have the previous buffer over here at the top, okay? So let me now do meta-o. I am above, and I will do meta-o to go below. This seems to work. That's great. Let me do now meta-o to go above. It didn't work. Look, I now get something completely different in the echo area. It is telling me something about setting a face to bold, italic, whatever. So let me see what this is doing. I will type Control H because meta-o in the context of an HTML file is a prefix key. So I will type now Control H, and you see I typed meta-o Control H. And when you type Control H following an incomplete key sequence, Emacs will produce a help buffer, such as what we see in the window above, which documents the keys that complete the given key sequence and the commands that they invoke. So we see here in mhtml mode, meta-o, and then some key will do these commands. So for example, if I do meta-o b, it will do this sort of thing. So I can say this is bold, right? And I continue. And so then if I do meta-o I, this is emphasis. That is the idea, right? That is what you would use meta-o inside of HTML. So if I do now Control HK to describe the key binding and say something like meta-o b, for example, I learn that meta-o-b runs the command, which is documented here, and it is found in the key map, which is documented here, right? So if I want my meta-o to continue to work, I have to go to this key map and set all the meta-o something keys to nil. So let me go just show you how that would be done. Actually, I want to go to the init.el. So I will not do this, but let's go and see. So I will have to do something like this. Define key in the map, then it will be the key, and then it will be nil. And this is how you annul a key. You cancel it. So by canceling it, then meta-o or whatever key you have in the global map will work. The reason it will work is because in Emacs, we have precedence from the most specific to the most general. So the global map is the most general. The major mode defines its own keys. So if those keys contradict the global map, the major mode keys will take precedence. And then what we will benefit from, the minor mode takes precedence over the major mode, which takes precedence over the global map. Okay? So if there is a binding, it will apply. If there is no binding, we go to the level above, and if there is no binding, to the global level. That is the idea. So now I will fix the problem once and for all, because I don't want to go to every possible major mode and set every possible key to nil. That's too much work. It is laborious. It is prone to error. Plus, it is frustrating. What I will do instead, I will create a minor mode, which will be a global minor mode whose sole purpose is to activate a key map. And that key map will include all the keys I want to define that should have a global overriding application. They should work at all times, no matter what. So let's do this. Def var, I will define a variable, and I can call it anything I want. So, for example, prot let's call it prot overrides map. Okay, and I will make a sparse key map here. So I will do it like this. Actually, let me also document. There is also the def var key map, but I don't want to bombard you with options. So all I want to do is make this sparse key map for the prot overrides mode. And actually, let's call this mode dash map. Okay, so we have prot overrides mode map. And now I will define a minor mode, which will be the prot overrides mode. And this is basically to activate the, of course, typo here, like this, the prot overrides mode map. Basically, that's what we have the minor mode for. So this will be global. I want it to be global. The init value, it could be true, but I want it to be nil. I want to enable it in my configuration. And the key map, this is the part, this is the magic sauce. The key map is the key map here, like this, okay? So let me evaluate this buffer. Of course, nothing of interest there. We don't care. Now, let's go back to the HTML here. I haven't defined the key binding yet. So if I do meta O, I still have this prefix business going on, which I do not want. So let's go now to our init file over here, right? We have created the key map. We have created a minor mode which activates the key map when we activate the minor mode. So let's do this together. I will now define a key in the prot overrides mode map. Okay? And this key now is meta O, and it is the other window, like that. Okay? I have defined that. Now, if I do meta O, I'm still calling the global one because I have not activated the minor mode. You see, in HTML, it still isn't working. So now I will do Emacs, or actually, let's do it programmatically. So prot overrides mode. I can also do Emacs, of course, and then call the mode, but I just want to enable the mode through my init file so that it works every time I start Emacs. Let's evaluate here. Okay, this is annoying, but let's remove that. Now I will do meta O. Let's see what happens now. Meta O, I am in the HTML buffer. Let's now do meta O, which is the moment of truth. And it works. You see, just like that, it works. Now, let me do another example. So in HTML, it works. Let's go to test.org. Okay? So I am in org, and this is a heading. Now, org wants to define a key binding for practically everything. And if you are like me, you don't like that behavior. For example, control and enter in org does this thing where you can continue with the item you were on. That is the idea. So control enter, and you can keep doing that. What happened to my keycast? Why did it stop? Hello? What happened? Oh, the keycast stopped. Let me 1 second. Keycast mode line mode. Let's do this again. So control return. Oh, Keycast stopped working for whatever reason. Okay, I will disable it. Let's not worry. Oh, it seems to work. What is happening? It doesn't like org mode, I guess. Anyway, I will leave it there. Let's not worry. I am typing control followed by the enter key, return, okay? So I don't like this. I don't like that org is binding control return. But I don't know if it's just org. It could be that there are 10 other modes, and I don't want to worry about that. So what I will do again is come here and I will do the same thing, which is like this. And then I will do Control HK, control followed by return to see what is the key binding. So it's C and then return like this. And then I will have it do something else. Now I actually don't know what I wanted to do, but let's say I wanted to find the file. Okay, that's what I want because this is my Emacs, and so I do what I want with it. So if I do control and return, I get to the find file prompt over here, and then I can select what I want. Let's go to org. If I do control and return, same principle, it just works. I don't have to think about it, and thus I get to have an Emacs configuration that behaves exactly how I want it to behave, because this is the whole point of Emacs, to be opinionated and to be unapologetic about it. That's all for today, folks. I will include this configuration if you want to have a closer look at it. I will include it on my website in the publication that will embed that video on my website, this video rather. And one final thing, let me just do this, Control H capital R, and I will search for eLisp. And I want to tell you about the key binding convention. I will also include this link. Let me put it up. Sorry, it's in the init file. Let me put it here. So let's have it here. Your only safe keys are documented here. Okay, so you can evaluate this. You place the cursor at the end of this closing parenthesis, Control X, Control E, and you open the manual. And now you read and you learn what is actually free for the user to define. Everything that is not free, you have to do it through this method that I have described. Okay, that's all for today, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care and goodbye for now. Bye-bye.